my name is ZeBirdBrain and today we are talking about deformers, more specifically the weighted deform. So what is a weighted deform? It can be multiple things. It can either be something that stands on its own or an add-on to another deformer. So if you want to use it on its own, you can do some really cool stuff like this Aaron animation I did a while ago where I had a pile of ashes talk. I wanted to have a style that had no lines and cool textures and stuff. Doing this hand-drawn would have been kind of a nightmare. And honestly, I had about 3 days to do this whole thing, so if I go into my very complex node view, I have a mouth, 2 eyes on the same layer because it's faster. And then I have the weighted deform. So in that case, I just had a weighted deform, which basically allowed me to mix a deformer, in that case a curvelope, with a peg. So basically the deformer and the peg work together on the same layer. So that is one way to use it, and the other way would be to make an envelope better. So if I had my body here and I gave it an envelope, I'm gonna do that very quick. If I move it on its own, it's kind of shitty. But if I take a weighted deform and I put it under my deformer, then everything is okay. Okay, so I made my whole scene a lot simpler just for this part. So I have my drawing, it has an envelope deformer, and I have a peg. At the moment, if it's just the envelope, it's going to do something like this, and it's going to break all my textures and my details. This is not great. But now if I take a weighted deform, just a node you can go get here by typing weighted deform. All you have to do is take it, and then you will unconnect your deformer and put the weighted deform instead. And now the weighted deform has 2 hats. One that is hidden. So this one, if you click on it, it says parent transformation. So logically, you take that and you attach it to the parent transformation. And by transform, we mean a peg, not a deformer. Peg. And then if you take this, you can put it to the left, and it's gonna say deformation. You know, deformer, deformation. Kinda makes sense, right? And then you put it there, and voila, now your envelope looks nice. So this is alone, and this is with the weighted deform. So the weighted deform makes your envelope look nicer. However, and before you guys ask me, well, why do you need it? Like, Harmony is so stupid. Why do you need an extra node to make it work? Like, the envelope should be like this from the get-go? Well, no. Because there is a few things to note with the weighted deform. First is that it is extremely heavy compared to the envelope. So the envelope alone is much faster. Yes, the weighted deform looks better, but it's at the cost of being really heavy compared to the envelope. Which was not a problem because you're dealing with texture. It is heavy anyway. So the difference between just the envelope and the weighted deform is that the envelope takes this point and this point and this point, and each point has like a circle of influence. And that's it. So this circle only, like, there's kind of like a very straight stopping point to what affects what. With the weighted deform, instead of having each point having its own very, very static influence, the weighted deform kind of have a gradient of influence throughout the different points. So like this point will pull what it is, but it will also pull a little percentage of this one, a little percentage of this one, and this one, and they all calculate together, which means it is a lot more heavy than the envelope deformer. And as such, it should be used very wisely. If it's for comp on your hand-drawn animation, it's life. That's perfectly fine. It's not going to give you any trouble. If you use that in a rig, you have to know that it's going to be extremely heavy, so you should only use it where it matters. So in a rig, don't go put like 20 of them on a character. Your computer's going to die. So what is important to note in terms of performance with the weighted deform is that it is heavier. And if you put a peg under the weighted deform for some reason, like you need a peg and you put it under, this is going to make it very heavy because from what I've been told, the weighted deform has a cache in it, making it faster to use. But if you put a peg under it, it kind of obliterates this cache and it makes it useless. So then you have a heavy node that doesn't cache itself, so then it's even heavier. Try not to put pegs under it. I mean, if you really need to, you can do it. The other drawback is that when you pull on the shape, the line art tends to stretch a lot more, like you see here. So if I set it back to 0, you see if I pull this point, my line art also pulls. So to prevent that, there is a method. It's very simple. What I tend to do is I will make a copy, like a copy paste of my drawing, and then one copy will have the line art node, the other one will have the color art node. Boop. So then I have my line and my color moving separately, and then only the color will have the weighted deform, and the line art will have just the envelope. so that when I move it, the line stays in place because the line doesn't have the weighted deforms capacities. By the way, if you want to move both of them together, it's totally fine to connect your texture to the weighted deform on a separate layer. Then what I would do is I would just take a composite, connect it here, connect both of them together, give it a cutter, and then just cut everything by the color art. Ta-da! And you know, it would work. The texture is gonna pull with it. And if you feel fancy, you can give a blending note to your texture. Yay! So I hope you enjoyed and that you're gonna have a lot of pretty textures in your project. Goodbye.